are you really ready for love? How do you prepare yourself for lasting love? Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Want to welcome Treva Brandon Scharf back to Second Act, the host and author of Done Being Single. There's your new book right there. Thank you, Treva, for joining me again.
Thank you. I love it here. You know I do. I love you.
Well, one of my favorite things in my new place here, my new office or studio, whatever you want to call it, is sitting your book right over there, Done Being
Yes.
Single. And we're going to talk about lots of information in that today. Important topic. I know this is something that we cover a lot on this channel because it's so important. Starting over again after 50, or finding love after 50, but then making same mistakes that we did all along in either a previous marriage or previous relationship. That's what I want to talk about today. Are you really ready for love? How do you prepare yourself for lasting love, which is what essentially, a lot of our viewers are looking for. And I'm just going to go over your points here, then have you comment on that. I love this first one. I want you to explain. Stay on the path of right action, that make good choices, don't put yourself in harm's way, or as you say here and have me cracking up, don't do stupid shit.
Yeah, don't. Okay, so that's just my way of saying watch your self-sabotaging tendencies. And I don't know what gets triggered, why. I've done it a million times. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written this book. I mean, the book is based on all of my mistakes pretty much and what I've learned. So I think being aware of your tendency, your proclivity to undermine yourself, to undermine and sabotage is super empowering.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. The other one here, the second one, is take a look at your own red flags. Take a look at your own red flags. We don't do that. We point out other people's behavior, red flags, but we don't tend to look at our own. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that's a really hard thing to do. It's brutal hard. It requires unbelievable level of vulnerability and openness to facing your stuff. If you notice a pattern and you see that things are not going the way you'd like, and you don't understand why, maybe it's time to call in a professional or even enlist a friend to give you some constructive feedback. Because sometimes, we all have our blind spots, but we all kind of know if it's the same kind of broken record, right? The same sort of, you're picking the same person and it's the same outcome and it's the same drama. No, there's something to that. Okay. It's like the universe keeps tapping you on the shoulder and saying, time out. Let's take a harder look at this.
Well, once you can identify that, you can actually fix it or change. You change that course that you're on. And again, this whole segment is about not making the same mistakes and actually being ready for a relationship. And what key advice, I think, in my opinion. Here's a good one. And I can so relate to this. I did learn, but it took me a long time. Set your boundaries and don't be a people pleaser. Because once you do that, you're not really your authentic self to you.
Yeah. So I am a world-class people pleaser and codependent. So yeah, I know all about that with everybody. I want to please everybody. And you can't. And the more you do, the more thinner you spread yourself, and the less you get your needs met, and the more likely you are to be taken advantage of.
And allow yourself, you're putting down the groundwork for allowing yourself to get taken advantage of in a relationship when it might not be intentional even.
Correct. You're definitely sort of setting the tone. Exactly. When you say yes a lot, or you agree to things, or you can't say, you don't know how to say no, or you're afraid to say no, that gives the other person, or even not even your mate or or spouse, a friend or a family member, it gives them a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives them all kinds of room to take you up on it, right?
Yeah.
To take
Yeah.
to take advantage of your kindness and generosity. And
Right.
and usually, I mean, yes, comes from a kindness. It comes from a kind and generous place, but most of the time, it comes from a place of fear that, if I don't say yes, or if I
Mm-hmm.
don't immediately come to their aid, or if I don't,
Yeah.
offer myself, that, oh my God, they're not going to like me.
Yeah, and slowly and surely, you're losing the other person's respect
And there's that.
when you're constantly saying no. So yeah, I get that. Important point.
Yeah.
This is another one that I love, and you wrote an article on this too. Let the one that got away get away. Don't keep pining for the past. I guess a lot of us do that and carry that into new relationships.
Yeah. It's super important to look. There's a reason, and I say this in the blog post, there's a reason why you let them go. Okay. So and there are probably very good reasons why you let them go. It just did not work. Did I purposely screw something up, or was it just I wasn't feeling it?
Mm-hmm.
So don't beat yourself. There are times when I see my ex-boyfriend. There's ex-boyfriend in particular who was a super nice guy, and it wasn't the reason I broke up with him had nothing to do with him. I just wasn't ready. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a guy in Hollywood, a very successful guy in Hollywood, and I see his name all the time. And he has really become a huge success. And yeah, there are times when I go, oh, I wonder what my life would be like had I stayed with him.
Yeah.
An interesting thought for a second, but then, no, it wasn't meant to be. And
Yeah.
God bless him. And good for you. He's moved on. He got married, has kids. Great. We're both super happy.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of people stuck in the past. I'm happy to say I really am not. There's not, like when you wrote that, I'm thinking, who would that be for me? Nobody. So yay for me. I've gotten some really good closure there. Have a relationship with yourself and meet your own emotional needs first. That is also, it's so difficult for a lot of people. Having a relationship with myself, that's something I had to really learn too. It can be very difficult.
Yes, my guess is, you're talking to, the ultimate single person who met her own needs, her entire life, only child, single forever. Yeah, it's good. It's good training. It's good survival skills. It's good to be able to be alone with yourself and alone with your thoughts. You're with you, right? You better have a good relationship with yourself. And furthermore, it's very compelling and it's very attractive. And people tend to dig those who are comfortable in their skin.
Yes.
Not necessarily like super overconfident and charismatic. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just about having this sort of quiet confidence. And that is extremely attractive.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And again, that's personally, I had to learn that the hard way. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there too. But if you can take that kind of confidence into a new relationship, like you just said, Treva, it's very, very attractive. So good point. Another good point.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Temper your expectations and need for control. God, brilliant.
Oh, that's really hard.
Yeah.
That's super hard. Just for the record, everybody, I just want you to know all the stuff that I wrote, these tips and all this advice, and I still have to practice it. I mean, everything you're saying to me right now, it's not in my past. It is ongoing work. And even more so because now I'm in a relationship, I'm married, and I have to be extra mindful of taking care of myself and making sure that I follow my own advice here. But yes, that one, expectations. Oh my God. And a need for control. Geez, you guys should only be sitting in on a therapy session with me, because that is what we talk about. Control. And my need my relentless need for it. Well, the truth is, you guys, the reality is you have no control. I mean, they're really, in the bigger scheme of life, so much is out of our control. And we do have free will and we do have control over us. But not much too either. What comes out of our mouth, maybe we can control, but what even happens to our bodies, we can't even control. Aging,
Yeah.
shit starts happening. You get, breaking down and getting older. And this is all part of kind of having a better relationship with control.
Yeah. What I learned, or it just became as a revelation to me about the whole control thing, is that I became very controlling right away because I thought I was doing the other person a favor. Like I'm taking over everything so they don't have to do anything. And I know that came from the way I was raised. And that is such a horrible trait to have in a relationship.
I talk about that in an earlier chapter, I think in chapter 7, where we talk about masculine energy versus feminine energy, and what to do if you're a take charge woman. And I have learned over the years that there is a dance with this feminine masculine thing. Okay. But so here's where the world keeps changing, right? Those dynamics, those gender roles are they're just changing by the minute. And now, women are being told to, you make the first move and you do the approaching and you do the pursuing. And, you and I are from a generation where that was.
Yeah. That's a tough. Well, we're going to talk about that on our next segment, which we're going to get to soon because we're starting to run out of time. But there's one more that you bring up here that I have not heard it put that way. Admit that you hate being single. If you do, that's a controversial statement.
Well, okay, I know it's like super hip to be, pro single people and get behind, you don't have to be a couple, and it's kind of like hip to do that now. People are really, shouting for their rights as single people and kind of feeling like, okay, there's a lot of stigmatism, and I know that. I felt that. I know exactly what it feels like to be the only single woman in a room at a party. It blows. Okay. Maybe not so much anymore, because like we're just getting sort of used to, I think it's less stigmatized and there's less discrimination. But yeah, you know what? I love being married. And in fact, today is my anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's our 9-year wedding anniversary.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And God, I love it. I love it. I love being a couple. I love being married. I am unapologetic about it. It took a long time. I worked very hard and I never take it for granted. And I totally dig being someone's spouse. I like calling myself a wife. And sorry, I mean, I know that might not be, I can't explain it. Like sometimes when I get on to, there's certain blogs, there's this thing called Medium, a blog aggregator. And invariably there's always some millennial, millennial that is complaining about dating and relationships and couples and bad and no. And then I find myself jumping into the comment section saying, you don't know what you're missing. It's not bad. It's great.
It absolutely certainly can be. And mine is all, I don't want to get married again, but I want to be in a committed long-term relationship. Marriage means something different to me because I've been married twice and I'm not going there again. So that's why I love, talking with you or for other people that have different opinions on this. The thing is, don't push your agenda on somebody else. If you want to be married and you're happy, my God, bless you. Yes. And if you don't, that's okay too. But it is interesting that admitting that you hate being single, that's become something that you want to avoid doing. There's something wrong with that.
I'm still shaking off like, okay, I didn't get married at a certain time. And I had to deal with all those doubters and haters and questioners and gossipers and
Yep.
why isn't you married? Why aren't you married? I think if that was now and I was younger, I don't think anybody would bat an eye. This is the time to be who you are.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what you choose, what relationship status or even sexuality or I don't.
Yeah. Well, I
do
tell you,
whatever.
people in our age group, they still bat their eye. Absolutely. It happens all the time. With me, it was not choose, I chose not to have children. So I get that. So I think both of us straddle the two worlds a little bit. I think we both are very traditional and yet progressive in some areas. I think we have the best of both worlds, quite frankly, Treva.
I do
That's
too.
my opinion.
Yeah. It's given us a very interesting perspective that not many people have. So I still, as a dating advice writer, I still remember being single. It's still been 9 years, so I have one foot in that world, one foot in the married world. And I'm able to report back and forth from both fronts.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that, yes, you should be unapologetic about the way you live and the choices you make.
Right.
But taking it back to, being on the path of staying on the path of right action. Right. Be cool with your choices, but make sure your choices are healthy for you.
Yes, and know what you want. If it's starting a new relationship and not making the same mistakes, your book is terrific. That's terrific advice, including what we talked about today. Treva, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add on this segment, on this topic?
I wish I had someone like me talking to me when I was single and struggling. And to the point about feedback, right? And red flags and looking at your stuff and self-reflecting. That's a big ask. Yeah. That's a heavy lift for some people. So I would say, if you are able to go in and take a deep look at yourself, if you can't, talk to someone like me, or find a friend or someone you can trust who can give you some honest and gentle feedback, and then have them keep you accountable and say, hey, listen, I'm not happy with my status, where I am in life. I want X, Y, and Z. And would you be willing to sort of be my accountability friend? Because that is what I do as a coach. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to do, but with the right help and support, you will get there, regardless of what your goal is.
Well, thank you, Treva. I will, of course, link to all your information. So if somebody does want to get a hold of you, I know lots of our viewers have, they can do so. Your book, please pick it up. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely a fantastic read. And we're going to talk about it more on our next segment on Second Act TV.